Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to another what I eat in a day video. Thank you so much for continuing to log on and join me. I know the month of December is so hectic, so busy, so thank you so much for continuing to log on and join me. I really appreciate it. So just dropped Layla off at school for the school run, come upstairs, got my face on a little bit, and now I'm about to head down and have some breakfast. And I'm feeling a little bit more hungry than I normally do. I don't really know why that is. I think it's probably because I had my dinner very early yesterday because it was Sunday. I've decided to have eggs, which is rare for me. I very rarely have anything other than cereal, porridge for breakfast, so possibly some lovely bread with beans and cheese maybe. I'm just very excited. It's such a comfort food for me. For lunch, I'm thinking about whipping up one of my favourite things ever, which is something that I've had recently in a what I eat video, and that is my roast butternut squash and pepper soup. And honestly, it is beyond delicious. I completely made it up and it is one of my favourite things in the whole world. And tonight we're having the McDaddy of comfort food, a roast chicken, and I'm not quite sure what we're having it with, but it's going to be a really fantastic day of food, so I hope you all enjoy it. Let's get on with the day. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be having a slice of this bread, which I get from Marks and Spencer's. I'm going to weigh this out though because I'm not having my usual portion. Okay, so this is 7 points per 100 grams. I'm having 37 grams, so I'm going to change that and I will let you guys know what that equates to, 2 points, which is perfectly fine. So I'm going to be having that. Obviously the eggs are free, and when it comes to beans, I think that is done by the tablespoon, but I'll just check. 4 tablespoons is 4 points, that's what I'm going to have, and I'll work out the cheese at the end because I'll only have a light sprinkling. So my toast is done. I'm just going to butter it with a bit of Love Pack. Again, I don't track my butter, feel free to. I'm maintaining and I'm not being overly strict. I don't use loads, but yeah, if you do want to be more accurate, feel free to make sure that you're tracking things. When I was losing weight and I was being more accurate about things, when it came to like butter and mayo and all that kind of thing, what I did was I searched for it on the WW app, and then I used these little glass bowls that I use all of the time, and I literally just put whatever butter serving I wanted or whatever else in these little bowls and weighed them out, and that is how I was accurate and consistent with my weighing. I'll do that now when it comes to things like my beans as well, because obviously I can spoon out 4 tablespoons, put it into here, heat it up, so I don't have to heat up the whole thing. But these are really convenient, and I get them, I think 5 for £1 at the pound shop. They come in like a compact cellophane type of situation, and they're so handy for baking, cooking, spices, that kind of thing, weighing small portions out. So that is how I get around it. If I was to weigh this out, I would have just popped the butter into here, weighed it, and then I would have had an accurate serving. But again, I'm not being too strict, but feel free to do that if you should want to, and those are my top tips. Simple text for you. It's about half a snack pot. So in future, if you're wondering, about half a snack pot is 4 tablespoons. And on the top, a real light sprinkling of cheese. I'm not going to weigh this down because I'm literally going to have the tiniest bit. It's probably going to equate to a point, but just the lightest sprinkling of light mature cheddar. That's it guys, 6 points for breakfast for this really lovely, hearty and warming beans, cheese and egg on toast, and I think you'll agree, what a perfect start to this cold, dark and drizzly day. Into a roasting dish like this one with some good quality olive oil, salt and pepper, and just get them into the oven roasting away, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I have some good quality olive oil in here, so I'm just going to give that a splash. Then add my veg. Then we're going to season really generously actually with some salt, and along with some coarse pepper. And then we're going to add some dried parsley. You can use fresh, I don't have any fresh, or I would have used fresh because it would be much nicer. And a really small serving of thyme as well. Okay Google, set my timer for 30 minutes. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is make up some stock. The next thing I'm going to do once I've done this stock is I'm going to fry off a little bit of pancetta, because I think along with the roasted onion on top and the parmesan, it's going to make a really lovely sprinkling. Again, you know, if you want to skip this step out, you completely can do. I just did it with the onions and parmesan last week and it was equally as delicious, but I feel like a bit of crispy pancetta would be really nice. And I'm literally talking like a couple of points worth, not even that, maybe 1 point worth. Literally the lightest sprinkling on the top. But again, feel free to leave that out, but we'll track that up in a moment. Okay, so I've got out my phone. I'm about to track the pancetta, and I also have got my weighing scale here because I literally want to be as accurate as I can, but also I want to make sure that I'm not taking up too much when it comes to point value. So 42 grams of this pancetta is 4 points. So I'm going to use this food, but I'm going to change the grams to what I would want. So I'll just pop that on there. 16 grams, which is 1 point. So I'm going to track that for lunch. Obviously the veg is free. I don't track my oil, but I feel like on this occasion I'm going to, because I did use quite a lot of olive oil. So I'm going to track that now. And I think it was realistic for me to track at least a couple of points worth for that oil. Again, normally I wouldn't, but because I used a significant-ish amount, I'm going to track it just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to mark that down as 2 points, but again, feel free to be more accurate and literally use a spoon to weigh out your oil. So I've just fried the pancetta off the tiniest amount, and I didn't use any more oil because this has quite a lot of rind on it, so it cooked itself, to be honest. The veg has come out of the oven. It is all sizzling away, and oh my goodness, it smells incredible. I know I say this every time I roast veg, but there is really nothing better. And again, you could totally just eat this with some pasta or some bread. It would be equally as lovely. But now we're going to get all of this straight into the food processor and whiz it all up with the stock. So this is probably the hardest part of making the soup. I always really struggle because I don't want to melt the plastic top. So let's see if I can do this really easily. Honestly, so much flavour on these vegetables right now. They should whiz up really easily because they're nice and soft. Now I'm just going to add a generous glug of stock. I normally just have a look, and if it needs more I add more, but I like to add at least half at first and see how I get on and just get it to the consistency that I would want. Now it's just a case of serving up. And this freezes really well as well. You can pop it in the freezer and have it for another day. So here I have my pancetta that I'm just gonna sprinkle on the top, along with a really light hand of parmesan. Again, you can point this if you want. I get it from Aldi. I'm not going to because I'm not having much of it. But again, if you're trying to lose weight, or you just want to be a little bit more accurate about things, just get a little bowl like I did with the pancetta and get it all weighed out. But I'm just going to add a really modest sprinkling, and it makes such a difference. And then what I like to do is pop the bowl back in the oven for about, I don't know, a minute or so, and it just gives that parmesan a chance to melt a little bit into the soup. I also have some offcuts of the bread that I used this morning. These are really thin shavings of bread. They need eating, so I thought I may as well just have them dipped in. What you could do with these is make croutons. A bit of olive oil into a frying pan, salt and pepper, crisp them up. They would make really lovely croutons, but I'm just going to use them as a bit of a dip. I'm going to mark this off as 1 point, so yeah. But again, croutons would have been a fantastic idea, and if I had a bit more time, if I'd have known I had these, I definitely would have done that for the top as well. So it's a little bit later in the day now. Honestly guys, that soup, one of my favourite things I've ever created. I'm sure I've not created it, I'm sure loads of people do pepper and butternut squash soup, but it's the best thing that I've done, that I've just sort of whizzed in a pan and in a processor, and yeah, it was delicious. So definitely make sure that you try it. The chili has given me red lips because it was quite spicy, but so good. Like, not too spicy, it was just amazing. I absolutely loved it. And the parmesan and pancetta on top just made it, honestly, with those like crusty pieces of bread. It was great. So now I'm about to go and get Layla, and then I'm a bit jittery actually because I'm in need of my coffee. I've not had a coffee today. I've had a quarter of a brew, and that's it. So I really do need to get a coffee when I get back because I'm really feeling it, and I might have some kind of sweet treat as well. And then we'll get the chicken on. I'm just about to go and preheat the oven, so when I get back I can get the chicken in the tray and get it in the oven and forget about it for a couple of hours. So I've just got back from the school run, and before I had my coffee, I've already preheated the oven, so I thought I would get the chicken in. And the chicken is going to be a very, very simple marinade tonight, and sometimes a simple marinade is the best. So I'm going to season it with some salt. Obviously this is quite a big bird, so you are going to need a little more salt than you would need for a smaller chicken, because there's nothing worse than one that hasn't been seasoned properly. And I'm going to add some pepper as well, and I am going to season with salt and pepper again in a moment. But the first thing I'm going to add is a juiced lemon, and what I'm going to do is cut it up, and then I'm going to add the actual carcass of the lemon into the actual bird itself, and then it will steam the inside and it will cook and add a lot of flavour. So I'm literally going to juice it straight on, and then stuff the lemon right in. And that one goes, and then I'm going to do the same with a bulb of garlic. It's going straight in to the bird, no peeling, and again this is going to add and invest a lot of flavour into our chicken. I have some butter here, and I'm literally going to rub the butter all over the skin, and this is going to ensure that it goes golden and crispy. Just make sure you get it as evenly coated as you can. Have some parsley and rosemary. I'm not going to do too much, I'm just going to give it a light sprinkling, and then again I'm going to add some of my chicken seasoning very, very generously, because it's not too strong in flavour, but it just gives something to the chicken. And then a final drizzling of olive oil. Use a good quality olive oil, I find it really does make the difference. So yeah, that is going all over to promote a really crispy skin. Finally, I'm just going to cover it with tin foil. I'll go with you, something sweet, bearing in mind I fully intend to still have my sticky toffee pudding and vanilla ice cream tonight. I've just weighed out a little bit of dairy milk. I have 3 here, 3 chunks, which isn't too much, but obviously I'm having dinner soon, so I'm not too fussed. So that is 3 points. I've literally just weighed out on my scales. And I always say to you guys, if you fancy something, you know, just have it in moderation. So 3 pieces is 3 points, perfectly fine for me, and that leaves me a hefty 16 to use for my dinner and also my dessert as well. Dinner, and it was so good, but I realized that my camera battery died mid-filming, so I didn't get to technically show you my plate, but it was lovely. Chicken was great, the potatoes were gorgeous as usual, and the rice really did hit the spot as well. So I used 3 points for my chicken, 3 points for my potatoes, and 2 points for my rice. So I have some dailies that I can roll over, and I also have all of my weeklies to use. So I'm gonna have some sticky toffee pudding and vanilla ice cream. So I'm just about to take it out to defrost and pop the sticky toffee pudding in the oven because it's an M&S one. And honestly guys, I'm so excited. It's so much in point value, but I feel like on days like today when I really fancy it, I'm gonna indulge, and I definitely suggest you guys should do the same. So yeah, I'm gonna get that on, and I'm very excited. And then the rest of the evening is gonna consist of me tidying up and wrapping presents. So.